again, as was mentioned earlier, well, there are a couple of friendly amendments from the Senate, but let me just quickly remind you what this legislation is. It's a parental rights bill. It is a unique parental rights bill continuing to codify parental rights when it comes to abortion trafficking. And so let me be clear that what we're doing is making sure that a parent must give consent for a minor to receive an abortion. So that means that if you're in Idaho, we already know you can't receive an abortion, but if you want to take your child to Oregon, a parent can. This does not prevent a parent from taking their child to get an abortion. It does not prevent a parent from giving permission to have their child go with a grandparent or someone else to get that abortion. But what it does prevent is it prevents, as some might say, even the kidnapping of a minor to take them to another state to receive an abortion without the parental consent. That's the essence of this bill. A couple of the things that we made clear with the Senate, that the Senate helped to make clear, was representatives from insurance companies that if they're giving the information on the insurance, they can't be prosecuted. We made it so that doctors, if they do get sued, can use their insurance coverage to cover that. And a couple other minor things, such as instead of the 6-year, there was already existing language with a 4-year statute of limitation. We went with that. And unless there are other questions, it is something that we, I think, well, not unanimously approved, but I would hope that we'd continue to give it its red light for all of those who feel that you can. Green light. Whoa. I'm looking at the red light.
You're killing your own
Let
bill.
me make clear I meant the green light. Thank you.
I've only heard that a couple of times where they have to kill their own bill. For the motion. For the debate on the motion. Lay from 18.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate against the bill.
Lay has floor debate against the bill.
Thank you. I think we're opening a really dangerous Pandora's box with these travel bans. It's one thing to have this total abortion ban inside Idaho, but to make it ostensibly illegal for even teenage rape and incest victims to seek help to get out of state is really dangerous. No other state with an abortion ban has a travel ban like this. This is not a path to go down. And another thing that really concerns me that has caused problems in other legislation we've been dealing with lately is this, instead of having exceptions to laws, having this flipping...
We need a unanimous consent request to refer to other pieces of legislation.
Mr. Speaker, it was a generalized reference. I'm not actually calling out particular pieces of legislation.
All right, continue.
Thank you. I'm referring to a trend in which I think we're departing from the Fifth Amendment norm of innocent until proven guilty by instead creating no exceptions to offenses and turning everything instead into an affirmative defense. That's what this bill does. It says everybody, even parents, I think as I read it, that transports a minor out of state is guilty, and it flips the presumption of guilt to them to then prove that they fall under an affirmative defense. They have to prove that they had parental consent. They have to prove that. And actually, there isn't even an exception for medical emergencies or for rape or incest, nor is there an affirmative defense for those things. I think we're going down a very bad path of setting a norm of saying people are guilty until proven innocent. And I think for that reason alone, frankly, this is a very bad door to open, and I hope you will give this your red light.
Thank you, ladies. For the debate on the motion. Gentleman from 19.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor to debate the bill.
Against the bill, I would like to just put 2 fine points on what my colleague just mentioned. And I would like to do that against the backdrop of the reality that our rape and our incest rates are at a 5-year high. Most of the victims are children, and half the time they're victims of their parents. So that's the backdrop. I think it's important to acknowledge the reality in which we implement and pass these laws. Two problems with the bill. Number one, I'm not 100% sure that you can read this statute, specifically page 1, lines 15 and 16, and conclude that the intent to help a minor go out of state to remove an otherwise legal process needs to be concealed from a potentially felonious, incestuous father, because the way the statute reads is you would need to, and you know what, I'm just going to say it because I've thought about this potential hypothetical a million times. I'm just going to say it's me. Imagine it's me. I'm trying to help someone out who's in desperate need, and I'm taking a minor over a border because her father is an incestuous rapist. But on line 16, it says that I would have to have the intent to conceal an abortion from the parents. Parents. Not just one of the parents. Both of them. Now, I'm not brought any comfort by the fact that we're not going to give the father an inability to sue. That brings me no comfort. What the statute says is that if I have the intent to conceal it from both of the parents, that I'm going to be a felon. The second concern. I have a problem with this aggregation of otherwise legal acts. When I go to her house and I pick her up and we drive to the Oregon border, not a crime, not a state crime, not a federal crime. If we cross the border, just the two of us, we don't have any dead bodies in the trunk, we don't have any drugs in the car, it's not a crime, state or federal. She gets access to her abortion from her rapist father to be relieved of the burden of her rapist father. Also not a crime, state or federal. But what we are saying here is that we want to take these three otherwise legal acts, we want to compile them and make them a felony. That's a real slippery slope. That's a really dangerous slope. I think the language on line 15 and 16 needs a little bit of tidying. And then when it comes back a little bit tidier, I'll still vote no, and I hope you do the same.
Further debate on the motion? Hearing none. Good lady, care to close debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will not deviate from the fact that this is a parental rights bill. If ever there's a time that a parent needs to be involved, it's if their child has gotten pregnant and they need help. Let me put it to you this way. Don't get stuck in any misdirection. Which one of you, if a child came to you and said they'd been raped or they'd experienced incest, which one of you's first thought is, hey, I'm going to take you across the border and get an abortion, as opposed to saying, let's call the police? Mr. Speaker, as opposed to saying...
Good lady. Good gentleman from 19, calm down. Let's hear your objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gave you some leeway too, so let's hear it.
I appreciate that. Since I am the only one who, perhaps against my better judgment, put myself in the role as that hypothetical straw man, I am taking this to mean that the good lady is assuming that what I was suggesting is that it was my inclination to go directly to this minor and say, let's go get an abortion. That never happens. This always comes at the end of the most grueling conversations in anybody's life.
All right, good
Mr.
gentleman,
Speaker,
we're
now
done.
I object.
We're done. And good lady, let's continue with your debate, but be careful.
Thank you. But the point was brought up, and I think it's a point worth addressing.
And it was, and you did address it.
Yes, and that point is, do we not go to the police first? That would be your proper role. It really would. It would be wrong of you to take it upon yourself to transport that minor across the border. You don't know if the parent had done something wrong. That's not something you can figure out. So with that, I would ask you to join with me, as you had done before, as the Senate did, I believe, on party line, and give it your green vote. Thank you.
Thank you, lady. Debate's closed. Question is, the House Bill 242 is amended in the Senate, passed the House. Clerk will lock chambers, cast your votes. Has every member voted? Lanting, Sauter. See who has changed their vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the roll. 58 ayes, 11 nay, 1 absent excused. Majority haven't voted in favor of House Bill 242 as amended in the Senate. House Bill 242 as amended in the Senate is passed. House correction title.
No corrections title.
Hearing none, the bill will be transmitted to the Judiciary and Rules and Administration Committee for enrolling. Good lady from